So if that is happening to you, the way I reacted was by not getting intimidated, by realizing that the opportunities that they have are the same opportunities that I have, and I am supposed to use them. If they raise the voice, I have to raise my voice too. I am here because I deserve to be here. If I'm in a room full of men who are experienced and who come from, say popular news channels, and if I'm sitting in the same room next to them, it's because I'm supposed to, if I deserve to sit there. So if the privilege that they have, I have the same privilege. If they are shouting, you shout out louder.
Right. And what I've realized is that youth holds such immense potential, but sometimes what's missing is a direction or maybe a perspective.
Right.
With this podcast, my intention is to bring out stories of such personalities, such young people who've made a dent right now, not necessarily in the future. You know what? I believe that we just flow with the rhetoric that youth has a role to play in the future. Youth is what will change tomorrow. But I believe that it will change today. And to change that, we need a perspective, and people like you, who young people can actually relate to, their backgrounds with, right? So this is really interesting for me and for a lot of people to know your story and look up to you, or just know your story, and that how you did or how you are doing what you are doing right now, right? So I'm really excited. I'm really excited, trust me Krishna, to start with this conversation and to know more about you, how you're doing what you're doing. So again, welcome to the show, and I just wanted to know, like, how did you start with this journey of I would say journalism, right? Journalism, media communication, journalism, all this. So like, how did your journey start?
So it started when I was interning with the local news channel in the city, and back then I was probably 18 or 19. So I just come to Baroda. I was doing my BBA at MSU, and I wanted to do something.
MSU is a university in Vadodara, but then
so it's Maharaja Sayajirao University.
Yes.
And that's when I was in my school, I went for a debate competition, and then so I'm not flexing, but I'm a national level debater. And when I came back here, I felt like I wanted to, grow into the same field. And that's when I joined a local news channel here. And from there, I thought that I had so much more to contribute. I felt I can do a lot more into the field. And that's when I came up with the startup.
Right. But then, like, before we delve a bit more into that, I would like to explore that side of your story, which was even before. I mean, this is the point where you started.
Yeah.
But what happened in your life, or what were your backgrounds which allowed you to make this a reality, that okay, this can actually be a career choice, or maybe I can actually explore this field? Because as you said, right, you were a national level debater, right? Debater, right? So like, how did that start? Were you always interested in public speaking or maybe elocution? Like, what was your journey in the school, which are the things which led you to this?
So I never wanted to. I never knew that I could get into this field. I never knew that I could get into public speaking. I always wanted to become a dance choreographer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was never into all of these things, even in my school, until 11th grade, when it so happened that there was going to be a elocution competition, and inter-school elocution competition. So the competition was in Bombay. And the girl who was supposed to go for the competition, she left the school due to some reasons. So they needed a replacement.
Okay.
And they thought that I was the best choice for it.
Okay.
Without them knowing that I was, I could do it. And then I went for that competition, and I didn't know, I had no clue. It was a declamation competition. I gave Malala Yousafzai's speech. And I ended up winning the competition, and it still feels like a dream that I won that competition.
But then, were you already? Did you have those kind of skill sets or interests?
I didn't have interests, to be very honest.
Okay.
Because I didn't know it was my thing. I wanted to become a dancer. I wanted to become a dance choreographer.
Okay.
But probably the teachers saw it somewhere. Probably while I was in the assembly reading the news out or something. So. that's when they thought that I was the next best option.
Right.
That's when they
And you were, I guess, what, 17 in 11th?
I was 16.
16, 17, 10th and 11th. Okay. And this is so interesting, Krishna, because like in young age, this is something which I even talk to anyone who is starting out right now, or maybe who is asking me about how I was involved in those ventures, like what made me interested in that. And I believe that we're not born with a direction that this is our ikigai, this is what we want to follow, and only through trial and error, like we try some things, we maybe fail at it, maybe we excel at it, but through this process of trial and error, we find that okay, this is what vibes with us, like this is our synergy. And I guess that happened with you then, right? So like you thought that, like after that event, you thought that this is something which you might be interested in.
Yes.
But you didn't have that kind of exposure before that.
I didn't wanted to have that sort of exposure in that zone, or say into public speaking.
Got it. So that was first intentional effort, that
Yes.
elocution competition. And then what next? Like in your school time after that, were you involved in any other?
After that, in school, I did a lot more competitions. That's when I went for the debate competitions and I won them. And after the school, then after coming to Baroda, the first competition that I participated was in the Times of India public speaking competition.
Okay. And that
over
was
there-
while you were doing BBM.
in the first year itself. So I was
Okay.
18 before
Okay.
I joined the news channel.
And at that time, the seed was already sown that
Yeah.
you were interested in elocution, public speaking. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then you started exploring more about that, and you went into debating, right? Times of India was a debating competition, or
No, it was
elocution?
an elocution competition.
Elocution. So like you had
It was
to
more
give.
of an extempo, not even an elocution.
So what's there in an extempore?
So over there, you given a topic 10 minutes before, and you have like a time span of 10 minutes to
Okay.
prepare, and then you just have to go on the stage.
So is it like the Toastmasters?
Kind of, not exactly.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Get it. And like, did you have such kind of opportunities in your hometown also? You're from
Yes,
Valsad,
yes,
right?
I'm from Valsad. So people have this mentality that it's a very small town, which is very true. It's a small town, but then the school that I come from an ISC school. So and my school, Touchwood, I feel like I was very privileged to get into a school like that. It gave us so many opportunities, and that is when I exactly found out that I was exposed to a lot of things. So yeah, I think that's something that hit me so much, and I thought that I should do something more.
I understand. And did you have such people to look up to? So like, when you were interested in elocution, right? 11th grade, you like explored the side of debating and elocution, and then did you have such people in front of you who you can take up as examples that I might want to maybe grow up to get into this career, or maybe be like this person? Did you have such role models in front of you?
So not someone who was like close to me or that I knew personally, but I have always admired Oprah Winfrey, and that I always say that she's someone that I look up to. In fact, I was so much into her, and I had accepted her life so much that Oprah Winfrey, when she was 19 years old, she got into a news channel as a news anchor. And I took that so much personally that when I turned 19, I was like, I am supposed to get into a news channel. And that's when I got into this local news channel.
Okay, so it was during that time only that all these things were happening. You were getting interested, you were exploring this stuff, you were looking up to Oprah Winfrey, and then you found a perspective that, okay, this could be a reality for you.
Yeah, and then she was into talk shows, right? She hosted the best talk show in that time.
So what did you like about the talk shows, Oprah Winfrey, like specifically?
So her talk shows are very much candid, and she talks about something that we're having right now, people's journey so far, something that can inspire other people, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm trying to do right now.
So what do you think? So like for you, your why is inspiring people or just elocution?
It's inspiring
People.
Always.
There is, I guess, like in any field which we see now, there is a deeper function to our actions. That I mean, अगर अब बोलते ही जा रहे हो, कोई किसी की लाइफ में इम्पैक्ट नहीं हो रहा, तो I mean, what's the meaning of it? Yeah, and that's interesting. And you know what? Why that's even more interesting to me? Because my journey into all these things also started in a similar way, where I was not like planning to like take up some event. I was a really shy person,
Uh-huh.
and I was not at all into public speaking. I still am a bit more like underconfident when I'm speaking to people, and I'm
Doesn't
still
feel like that.
I am still building on that skill. But then, like, the thing is that when I started up with my interactions with this field, right, I had no interest, no idea in talking to people. I was already always isolated,
Uh-huh.
and I really synergized with that thought that okay, when once we try, I mean, we should in our young age. I mean, I believe for me right now also I have that ideology that we should never restrict ourselves to our previous experiences. We should always be open to interesting stuff which the world has to offer,
Yeah.
right? And that's really interesting to know. Yes. And so, like, what next? Like, after 12th, what happened in your life then in Vadodara? You directly went to a talk show, or what was your journey
No,
like?
no. After I came back, like after I came to Vadodara, I came to MSU, and then in MSU, in my college, we have a students' association, which is there in every college. So there is a student core committee of the student association, and over there was a position of a vocational representative.
Okay.
So I applied in that post, and during the interview time, I was not here. I was in Valsad when they were interviewing people for the position. So I just sent them my video of one of the elocutions that I did when I was back in school, and then I was like, because I've sent them the video, they're not gonna take me. So they took me. I was selected. I became the VR for the student.
VR?
VR is the vocational representative for
representative.
the college. And then I felt like, okay, yes, this is my thing. This is something I want to move ahead in. But then while I was studying BBA, I had a family business too. So I had choices if I could do that. But my heart always wanted to get into some. I wanted to become a public figure back then, because we're not that mature. So it's like I want to become famous. So that's what I thought. And then the first thought was that I needed a platform, and I wasn't sure what platform I needed. So I was just scrolling on Instagram, and I saw this one girl. She was presenting the news in English in a local news channel. So I was like, this is a good opportunity. And it's funny, but that time I thought, okay, I can say it way better than what she's saying. So I called them up. It was the 1st of January. I called them up and I was like, are you guys looking for a news presenter? They were like, yeah, just come down. And
It was a local news channel which was already running on TV.
yeah. It was not running on TV. They were a social media, and they're still a social media news channel.
Got it.
So I went there. It was the 1st of January. So we had partied on the 31st, and it's
Okay.
like, yeah, I was hungover, but I went there in the evening, and it was the first day. They were like, we need to have a screen test. So I gave a screen test.
What's a screen test?
Screen test is if you want to become a presenter, they have to see how you look on the screen.
A presenter is someone who
Presents the news.
presents the news or the agenda of that day.
The content.
The
Any sort of
content,
content.
any sort of content. Okay.
Yes. So they did a screen test, and they were so impressed that the screen test was actually presented. It was uploaded on their portal.
Interesting.
So then they were like, "Do you want to join? If you're so serious, then come from tomorrow." So because I had college, and my parents wouldn't appreciate me doing a complete job. So I said I can come for like a couple of hours. So they said come. Then I started.
Okay, so then, like, do you think that, like, through all these experiences which you're sharing, I feel that you were already born with such a talent. So, like, what was it? Like, were you born with it? Were you built up on that? Or, like, how was your inclination towards this whole
Sometimes
education?
it is so that you're born with it, but then you have to sculpture it, or you have to. So I was born with. I feel like I loved being on the stage. I loved being on the stage. I loved being in front of the camera. Back in school, it was more about dancing because I wanted to get into dancing. So my stage, I had no stage fear. I had no camera fear. And then I'm also a Bharatanatyam dancer. So sometimes I do feel like it might not be relatable, but I also feel like because that dance has so much more to do with your expressions and your presentation. So I kind of imbibed all of that into me, and that when I speak, it comes out.
No, this is not at all irrelevant, because you know what? Why do I say so? I was working on a project with World Resources Institute a few days back, and they were researching on the young development years. I in fact even wrote a research paper which was published. It was on how such things influence us, such things as in our engagements in our childhood.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was still in the teenage, but how our brain works is, see, like a lot of parents send their children to sports activities, music and all. So it's not that the skill matters the most. I mean, obviously they're playing football, they're developing some skills, but it's the implicit things
Yes.
which really matter a lot, like skill, like coordination, coordination, teamwork, and all these like things which we don't really pay attention to. And I guess this plays a huge role even in a lot of young people,
Yeah.
and shaping their interests, like what they're exposed to, what skills they take up from that, and how they're applying it in different other areas of life. So that's a really interesting learning for me, that while we're exploring, this is something which we can now explicitly say that okay, these things also matter, and the things which surround them, the learnings which we get from that activity, is not just limited to that core activity, it extends to a lot wider area. Perfect. So now, like, your journey started with dancing, being on the stage. You explored your side of that like you like being out there on the
Yeah.
stage, and you like being appreciated, I would say,
Yeah.
or maybe yeah, for
I
your
love
own
it.
talent, right? And then this trickled down in your this career of yours. So then, like, what's your journey right now? Like, how has your life changed since then?
My journey right now is that I'm still trying to explore the same field,
Mm-hmm.
because in media, like things just come up every day. And now, since we are in this world of social media and the world is becoming a global village, there's something new to learn every day. So now that I've decided that now I'm not just into presentation and media, now we're also broadcasting in a production company. So it is so that now I want to learn a lot more about presentation and filmmaking as well. So it's kind of it gets difficult sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to explore more, and we're trying to make the company more big. We're trying to influence. I think I forgot to add this in the last question that you asked, that it is more that I wanted to influence people.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to influence
Hmm.
people. I wanted to, because I come from a small town, I want to let people know that no matter where you come from, we're all in the era of internet. We're all in the era where you do a small thing in the corner of the world and it can reach out to people. So I wanted to influence people that you can come from anywhere with any sort of background, and you can create magic.
Right, that's so powerful, Krishna. Because I like this podcast, as I said, now this was started from this intention itself. Ki, no matter where you are, you can find examples in front of you from any like anywhere in the world, who are doing stuff.
Yeah.
And there are things which obviously there are different problems which they might face, different problems which you might face, but how do they approach those problems is the real thing.
Yeah.
So I even wanted to explore more about your journey of starting up that production companies. Like sorry I interrupted you during that, but like you were telling me that you started up after gaining some experience with that local news channel. So like, what was that journey? Can you tell me how?
So with that news channel, it was that they're a typical local news channel where they covered all sort of news across the city and the district. So over there, I always say this, I had a very privileged journey so far. I met some amazing camera people, some amazing content writers, and some amazing video editors. These are the three most important people in the production industry. So over there, I learned how to operate camera.
While in the local
While
news
while in
channel.
the local news channel,
Yeah.
yes. I learned so much about camera. I learned so much about how the editing happens. I learned so much about the content, so much about research, so much about the aesthetics that go while you present something. So then when I started my own production house, I had two experiences. That one about the local news channel that I worked with. So I know what is the right angle, how they do it, how to present it. And second is I have a very good mentor with me, and which I think is very important for anyone to have a mentor in whatever field that they are. So with the production house, it so happened that I had a very experienced mentor that helped us out with everything. And with the from the local news channel, what I had learned very important is that how they were functioning, because it was a huge channel, it is still a huge channel in the city, and the way they function, that if they are doing a talk show, where should be like the one shot should be from here, the other shot should be from here, and then the editing happens in certain way, the audio happens in certain way. So that's when I thought that I have learned this, I have some sort of experience in this, and then I found a right team that.
So this is something which you. So you told me about three things. One was mentor, one was situation, one was team.
Yeah, team is very important.
Very important, right? So can you tell me a bit more about their roles in your like journey of starting up? How did they help you, especially the mentors?
The mentors, okay. But let's start with team. Is that
Sure.
okay? So I just want to convey this to everyone out there, to young entrepreneurs, that we have this mentality of one man army, because we listen to the motivational speeches on internet and Instagram and everywhere. But as an individual, I just do my makeup and I just sit in front of the camera. The rest of the things are done by the team. From the camera setting up, to the video editing, to the uploading, to the makeup as well. It's done by the team. And without them, it is just impossible for anybody to function.
Definitely.
It's very important, extremely important.
Definitely, especially when you're in a field like media where you have so many different things to handle. Yes. And if not like media, I mean, आप कुछ भी करो, if there's a team with you, I mean, समझ लो आपके पास functionalities भी नहीं चाहिए उसमें कि team से चलो, there's only a limited functionality, but still knowing that a team is there and you can rely on is really important.
They have your back.
They have your back, especially when you're starting up. It's so overwhelming when you start up, because you're starting up from a place where really like you have a really limited knowledge, or you have really limited expertise, and you've seen people already succeeding. So you're already having that benchmark कि अपने को ऐसा करना है. But at the same time, you have to deal with that thing that your capacity is limited right now. Maybe with resources, maybe with skills, whatever. And there, I mean, team would definitely help a lot, where you're doing this together and like they're there for you.
Yeah, that's very important. I want to give a shout out to my team. So yeah, because when it comes to operating of the equipments, I'm not that of a techie. So it's very important for me, for everyone to have a team, because it is just important.
Definitely.
So let's come to the mentor part. This is something that I want to tell everyone who's my age. You should have a mentor. Someone from your field or somebody from other field who can guide you. It's very important. We are youngsters. Sometimes we do feel like there's a generation gap and this person cannot guide me. But it so ends up कि जब हम किसी mentor के साथ होते हैं, we don't realize the importance unless we have a mentor. पहले we are like, okay, I can do it. And then we do it. A lot of people succeed, there's no debate about it. But when you have a mentor, when that person comes into your life, the game changes, and it changes in a huge way.
How do you think that process happens? I mean, where's the magic?
Sometimes you just bump into them anywhere. Sometimes somebody likes you, as in they like your work, and they come into your life. Now the magic happens because they are either from your field, or they are either more experienced, or they either have more sources and a very good network. Network is like the magic stick.
Because people make all the difference, definitely. You know what, I like in my journey, what I've realized is mentors play a really specific role for me, where we're thinking about our ventures, our ideas, our perspectives in a particular way. We have our singular perspective, singular mindset, which we're looking like from which we're looking at the world. But when a mentor comes in, maybe they might not even have experience. चलो वो functionality हटा दो, maybe हटा दो कि उनके पास बहुत network है. But they can, if you trust that mentor, and if you allow them, if you're vulnerable to them, they can give you a perspective which you never thought of. And that is so important, because when you're like, if you're just single-mindedly focusing on a particular like way of thinking or like way of working, you're not really exploring the dynamic opportunities which are there in front of you, besides you, because you're quite only in your head, right? So mentors definitely even give you a really a reality check
Yes,
of
yes.
all the things which are happening.
Exactly. Mentor thing is a very personal thing, you know. It could be something different for you, it could be
Yeah.
different for me. Your mother can be your mentor.
Right.
You know, your father can be your mentor. So yeah, that's how it works.
Perfect. And do you think we talked about mentor and the team, but we were even like discussing about the situation which you were in, because there were a few situations in your life where you were introduced to the elocution competition, and then you came to Vadodara. If you were not in Vadodara, if you were in some other town, how do you think कि situation plays a role in your journey? Like जो background है ना, क्योंकि लोग सोचते हैं कि मेरे पास तो छोटे town से हूँ मैं, so I don't have that kind of opportunities which that person has. So a person who is listening to this and thinking about कि यार उसका journey में उसके पास इतना सब resources था मेरे पास नहीं. What do you think about this
ये
aspect?
चीज़ मैं खुद, you know, I think about the same thing a lot of times, because I feel like there are certain people that I can do better than. They are doing better just because they are in Delhi or just because they are in Bombay. So I think the same thing. But then that's where my mentor told me this. We were just talking about it, and my mentor told me this. He said, now we're in the internet generation. If you are doing something which is very individual, जैसे आप एक content produce कर रहे हो जो बहुत individual content है जिसमें nobody else is involved, जैसे what we are doing is a talk show, what I do is a talk show, ठीक है. तो मेरे में ऐसा है कि I need somebody who is an expert into some field, because I have to speak to that person. That person should be famous enough. But if you are not, it's a very personal thing again. If you're not into that, then you can be in any corner of the world and you can do it. We saw this recently. We had those TikTokers from Africa who made TikToks and they went viral across the world, right? So it is not the, you know, your boundaries. You don't have boundaries these days. But again, you know, if I want to interview, जैसे मैं बड़ौदा में हूँ तो मैं खुद ये face करती हूँ कि I want to interview somebody from say example आम आदमी पार्टी, तो यहाँ पे ऐसा कोई नहीं है that I can interview. या फिर यहाँ पे अभी you know, I think 1 week ago I was cribbing about it कि I am tired of interviewing the same politicians. I want somebody new now. So I think the place that you are in really does make a difference. You know, no matter, it does make a difference according.
That makes a difference, but I guess even like it's upon you how you frame your situation.
Exactly. So
Like-
it depends on situation. In my case, it makes a difference.
Yeah, but I guess in your case also, like when you came to Valsad to Vadodara, how was your decision framed?
I was actually supposed to go abroad for my studies, but something just went wrong with the visa thing, and then the next best option that my father thought was MSU, because my aunt was from the same university. So when I came here just with the thought of like I want to finish my bachelor's and then I want to move overseas. So that was the only thought. But after coming here, I was like, there are opportunities here as well. It's not that it's just Bombay that's going to give you opportunities, or Delhi that's going to give you opportunities, or Bangalore or Hyderabad that's going to give you opportunities. Every place has opportunities. I have friends in Valsad who are doing amazing for themselves.
Right.
So that's not the case, but it depends on what you want to do.
Right. So I guess the situation plays a major role, but then how you react to those situations that's completely on you. And then like, so you took your step, you came here, you realized okay, there'll be opportunities here, you grew a bit, and then now at this stage you're thinking okay, for me if this is better, then maybe you'll take a career step where you might be moving. Right. So I guess even you're framing your own situations right now, and I guess that requires a lot of courage to do that. So that's kudos to you, amazing work which you're doing right now.
Thank
And that
you.
actually requires a lot of courage, starting afresh in a different set of network circles and like with people who might not know you. So that's really great. So apart from that, like, can you tell us about some instances in your journey, or maybe while you were working with the local news channel or covering some on-ground news where you faced some major issues?
Not with the local news channel, because back then I was just a presenter, so I was presenting in the studio itself. But when we started doing it for Fact Flash,
Fact Flash is the start of which you're talking about.
yes, the startup that I'm talking about. So over there we travel a lot because we do ground zero reporting. So we recently did the UP tour. We go to the rural area as well. So I'll talk about Delhi. So it was I think the 15th of August, and we were at the Lal Killa in Delhi. And over there what happens is there are lot of male ground zero reporters who are there, even with the national channels. They have a lot of male ground zero reporters, and the thing is you're supposed to be there with all of them, and they will that does not happen in Baroda, which is a very good thing. They will intentionally come next to you while you are reporting, and they will yell. So I think that thing still prevails, and
For what reason would they?
they would yell because they don't want somebody young. And the thing is, all of them are from Hindi news channels. So they always have this Hindi and English news channels. They still have rivalry, regardless of where you go. So it still exists, and they'll come next to you and they'll report in a very loud this thing to just make you feel intimidated. So
why
that
do you
is one of
think
the
they
worst
what's
experience.
going in their minds which they think that their actions would change? I mean, क्या वो ऐसा सोचते कि यंग लोग हैं तो उनके पास privilege ज़्यादा है, उनको आइडिया नहीं है?
Exactly, that's the whole point. I think I've faced this in the last 3 years way too much. Way too much. I shouldn't be saying this. I don't want to. Okay, so way too much, because when you're young and when you're doing something that they have worked 12 years to hold. So I met someone who said that, it took me 12 years, it took me 6 years to hold a mic in my hand. I had to work as the reporter, and then I got an opportunity to be in front of the camera. And you're getting the opportunity to be in front of the camera the moment you stepped into the industry. So I think that triggers them.
What do you think? What thoughts do you have on this thing? I mean,
I have
when this
thoughts
is,
that
what do you think about this?
I think it is the people. They need to understand that we're all moving very quick. The technology is moving very quick. Back in those days, there were limited news channels, there were limited correspondents, limited reporters. Now, you want to start a news channel, you can sit in your house and start a news channel.
Right.
Right. Because now it does not require you to have a journalism degree. I don't have a degree in journalism. Right. I don't have. Secondly, there was this one incident which every time we go to press conferences in Baroda or in Delhi, wherever, it so happens that in the recent press conference, I was the only girl. And they were all like they're like men in their 40s and 50s sitting around me. So I was the only girl in the room. The only girl. Even the speakers, none of them was a lady. So I think they don't let you ask questions.
Specifically for girls or
For when they know that I'm in the, so I don't really attend a lot of press conferences, but there was this one press conference I think 15 days ago. So I went there, and because we're an English news channel, we have to be like, we're in the front row. So they know that I'm here, and now that they know I'm here, you raise your hand to ask a question, and they don't even raise their hands. They will just start asking their questions.
You're talking about men versus women.
I don't want to play the woman card, see, but this is just the situation that I'm talking about.
I completely understand. Like this might be happening, so we don't have to quote it that if it's not happening.
Yeah.
If that's happening, that's happening.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's happening. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not trying to play the woman card or something, but it happens. It could happen to you as well,
No.
Yeah.
I really, so like, I was talking to a female pilot the other day, and my mother is a woman businessman, a businesswoman,
Yeah.
right? And I've realized that every industry has a certain set of issues which women specifically face, and there's a lot of rhetoric around, like they say ki women face the issues, so what, men also do. But a lot of situations change when it comes to the women demographic, because of a lot of other reasons which might not be really explicit at that time. It might be the societal expectations, it might be the intimidation which you were talking about, that the people think that they are getting extra privilege, so they shouldn't be there. So definitely I believe that it's not about playing a woman card, it's about it's a reality that like that's happening, and how are we reacting or how are we approaching to this thing is really important.
I'm so sorry, I forgot to address how should I react to this. So the way you react to this is, I didn't know how to react to this when I was young, but now I feel like the way you react to it is simple. You raise your voice. If they are shouting, you shout louder and you ask your question. So if that is happening to you, the way I reacted was by not getting intimidated, by realizing that the opportunities that they have are the same opportunities that I have, and I am supposed to use them. If they raise the voice, I have to raise my voice too. I am here because I deserve to be here. If I'm in a room full of men who are experienced and who come from say popular news channels, and if I'm sitting in the same room, next to them, it's because I'm supposed to, if I deserve to sit there. So if the privilege that they have, I have the same privilege. If they are shouting, you shout out louder.
Right. So I mean, standing up for yourself is really important in such situations, rather than getting intimidated by such things. And the point which you said about being privileged, right? So like one thing which I have faced a lot, not just me, a lot of my team members who are young team members trying to make a difference in their own fields. I've seen this thought that people have, right? These young people have a lot of privilege. The upcoming generation has even more privilege. Why so? Because I guess technology, as you said, right, it's moving on such a pace where the information available is like really fast now. Because I remember, like, when I got my first phone when I was in maybe 9th or 10th. My parents didn't have that. But at the same time, the generation which is there right now, they have the phones and availability to information at the age of 5 or 6, which I didn't have. So I don't carry the right to blame them for the situation or for the privilege, and it's just the situation which we have to actually accept and move forward with, right? So I guess it's really important to even express such conversations in front of people, so that they know what should be they know what goes on in the minds of people and how perspectives change our actions in such situations. That's really interesting. And are there any other instances which you would like to quote, or maybe some things which you would like to share with the public or the audience who is listening to this, especially the young people who might have reservations of starting up such things of their own, or maybe getting into this industry of media and mass communication?
I would like to cover the same thing that I was talking. I'll make it crisp. The thing is, see, anyone who wants to have a career in media, it is easy, but it's not easy. It's gonna take a lot of hard work. There'll be a lot of people who will try to pull you down from your own industry. See, I'm not talking about the news industry. I'm talking about the entire media industry, because we have men and women as well who've worked very hard throughout their lives to be where they are today, and we get the privilege to start something of our own just by sitting into our offices and our rooms. So they are not going to be okay with it. They're going to try and pull you down. It happened with me. I was collaborating with this gentleman who was also my then business partner, and he kind of didn't like the way that people started knowing me and that my network started getting more stronger. So he himself, my own business partner, tried to, he was trying to pull me down. Of course, we're not working together anymore, but that's going to happen if you want to get into media or any other field, for the matter of fact, that there are people who are older than you that are going to try and pull you down. Because the best thing about this generation is that when we have for example, you and me, we know each other and we feel like we should work together. So people your age, majorly the case will be that they'll appreciate your work, and you'll have a collaboration and you would want to work together. But the only problem you'll face is from the older generation. Your family will be very good to you if you're privileged enough, but the older generation, I think you'll have a lot of people try to pull you down. So all you have to do is stay focused on what you want to do. You'll have to stay strong. My last 1 year was one of the worst years that I've ever had, but don't give up. If you really want to be where you want to be, if you really have seen a dream, do not give up, and I can promise you'll be there.
Right, and like you're a living example for the people who are listening to this, because you've come from Valsad, you've been in Vadodara.
Yeah.
Both of these are like not the metropolitan cities. These are small towns. I come from Vadodara as well.
Yeah.
And you're doing what you're doing. You're gonna expand to different the metropolitan capitals of India, and it's gonna do great. It's gonna go great because you're there, and I know, and I have full confidence in your energy and the things which you said right now. This makes me believe that yes, not just you, but this generation has it in them if they just believe in themselves and stand up for what they feel is right. So amazing. I mean, it was amazing having a conversation with you, Krishna, and thanks for coming on this show.
Pleasure. Thank you, Nitish. All the very best.
Thank you. All the best.